What is up, YouTube? It's CS back here with another installment. Here's my preview for episode 31 of Deadliest Warrior. This one is between the French Foreign Legion and the Gurkhas. Alright, y'all, now this is a sick match. What can I say? French Foreign Legion versus Gurkha, basically the first ever match where two different sides are fighting for someone that they're not native to. So, that's pretty interesting theme. Thematically, I do like the matchup. Both of these guys did have a role in World War II as well. Pretty evenly matched. Really can't hate on anything in terms of the matchmaking here. This looks pretty epic, so really can't wait for this. Also, to point out, shout outs to Blue Team TV. My boy Andrew actually made a video back last year saying that this is one of the matchups he wants to see for the next season of Deadliest Warrior. And guess what? I guess they listened, or maybe they listened to him and a bunch of other people, because guess what? He called for French Foreign Legion versus Gurkha, and that's what we're seeing next week. So, shout outs to him. But yeah, let's get right into it, shall we? This shit kind of looks like some of the matchups we've seen in the past, in my opinion. I do think the French Foreign Legion are going to need some help. I think they're going to have to win a class of weapon in this matchup that will help dictate the pace of the match for them, because I do think there will be outmatch in the X Factors. To me, this kind of reminds me of the French Foreign Legion kind of remind me of the U.S. Army Rangers, and the Gurkhas kind of remind me of the North Korean Special Operation Forces. The Gurkhas are pretty much indoctrinated into war. It's in their DNA, pretty much. They grew up fighting, they grew up training, and this is what they live for, you know what I'm saying? So, in terms of training, in terms of discipline, they're going to get those X Factors if they're going to be featured. I know discipline will. They will get that one, and, I think they do get training as well, because they've been trained from a very young age. And then if you take a look at the French Foreign Legion, how the hell do they get training? A bunch of them are bad guys, a bunch of guys are just goons, and they're being forced into this shit. And I think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to pick up. But once they do come out of that training, they must be very battle-hardened. I really don't think they're going to be suffering that much in that X Factor. But in terms of discipline, I really don't see many other disciplined warriors compared to the Gurkhas. So I think they're going to be, insufficient there. But as for the other X Factors, maybe tactics, who knows? Operational experience, we'll see. But I really do think the Gurkhas will get them there, in the X Factors overall. So I do think the French Foreign Legion have some work to do. Alrighty, now speaking of work, we saw some good work on the side of Nick Hughes, one of the experts for the French Foreign Legion team. He's a former French legionnaire. He was like a recon diver and shit. I think that's what it said when I watched the first 12 minutes of the episode. But in that first 12 minutes, he whooped some ass with his long-range rifle, which was the BAR, the Browning automatic rifle. That is up against the Bren light machine gun of the Gurkhas. The Bren, of course, British-made. The BAR, American-made. Nice gun. What can I say? Lighter than the Bren. Definitely more mobile. Does pack only 20 rounds compared to the Bren's 30-round magazine. I think it's a bit harder to reload. And in that test, we did see Corporal Nick Hughes. He did reload, but I think he did it pretty smoothly. He must have, if he was able to take out the 3 targets, from each stage, in under 58 in under a minute, at 58 seconds. We saw some nice shooting there. And I think it's going to be very hard for the Gurkha expert, Roster Rai, to really match that shit, That BAR looks like, for that kind of test, I think it's a friendlier weapon. It's lighter, it's easier to move around with. And the thing is, he was actually scoping. He was holding it like this. Thing was at his shoulder. And I know there's a spring in the BAR, so to help with recoil. And for the most part, he looked pretty comfortable shooting that shit. The Bren. It's going to be, it's a heavier weapon. And he's not going to be able to scope with it. He's going to have to carry it like this. It's going to be slinged around him. And honestly, I don't know how much more accurate that thing can be. And I think he's going to be lucky to match the accuracy of the bar in that type of test. I think it's going to be harder to move around with it. The only thing I can give it is the only thing I can give it over the bar is the fact that I think it's a little bit more of a rugged gun. It does pack more RPMs and it packs more rounds. But in terms of finesse, which I think this test is testing, I gotta go with the bar. If this is a single test that they're doing for these rifles, I gotta give it to the bar. I'm gonna bank on the fact that this is the only test they're doing for it, so I'm gonna say the bar gets it. Slight edge to the Browning automatic rifle. I just think that the manner this shit's gonna be tested and how we're gonna see it used in the sim, I think the bar just being the more mobile gun and the better offensively capable gun due to the fact that you can scope. I like its functionality. I'm going to go with it. Edge bar, slight edge. Alright, y'all, now moving on. We have medium range weapons here. On one side, you have the Gurkhas and their Lee Enfield variation. And then the other side, you have the MAS-36 for the French Foreign Legion. Now, the French Foreign Legion pretty much have technology on their side here. You know, it's going to pack a bigger punch. It's a lighter gun. And the thing is, it's clip fed in terms of magazine. Only 5 rounds, though. That is deficient when comparing it to the Lee Enfield that has 10 rounds, but it's going to be easier to reload because you just throw a clip in it. So a clip with 5 rounds in it, that's pretty cool. So reloading must not be too hard. But I still think whatever tests they're going to do, you know, time is going to be on the side of the Gurkhas, I think. I don't think they're going to have to reload at all. I don't think it's going to be that detrimental to the French because it is a clip-fed magazine. It can't be that hard to throw down in there. But, you know, not reloading and pretty much putting up the same numbers as the other gun, which I think it's going to do. Like, I can't go against the Gurkha in this test. Also, I think it's bolt action. I think it's a little bit quicker. I think in the areas the Gurkha needs to be better than the French Foreign Legion in this test, you know, I think it has a faster action. The fact that it holds more rounds. In those areas, I think that's what you need to beat the MAS-36. Maybe the MAS-36 was a little bit more maneuverable due to the fact that it's lighter. We'll see. But for some reason, I'm just going to go with the Lee Enfield. I like those specs that I mentioned just now over what the MAS-36 has for sure. So because of that, I'm going to give the Lee Enfield my edge. So edge to the Gurkhas. Alrighty, now let's move on. We got short range weapons to look at. We have the Gurkhas and their Kukri versus the French Foreign Legion and what Jeff Dimlin called some Frenchy ass name. I'm going to call it a K-bar. That's what they have listed on Wikipedia. I saw that thing. It functions like a K-bar, so I'm just going to call it one. Of course, the K-bar, primarily a stabbing weapon. It can lacerate as well. But the thing is that compared to the Kukri, it is a short blade. And I think the only chance it has against, you know, a Gurkha coming at you is to get within the reach of that Kukri and stab him. Yeah, that Kukri is pretty much a mini Falcata, and I think it has everything going for it compared to the K-bar. You know, it can stab, but it looks like primarily a lacerating weapon. I think that's what we're going to see out of it. You know, it has that design where it curves inward, and the heavy part of the blade, like, you know, say if it curves like that, is right here. When that thing swings at you, damn, you know, it's going to do some cutting. And, you know, I think it's going to look relatively devastating in sim. I know we saw part of it in the previews, and I just think it's going to look good. What can I say? Bigger means better in terms of blades. It usually does. That's why the K-bar ended up getting more kills than the Navy SEALs knife in the Israeli Navy SEALs episode. So yeah, bigger does mean better. At the time, K-bar was a bigger weapon. This time the Kukri is over the K-bar, so I'm going to pick the Kukri. And I think it's a little bit more versatile due to the fact that it's a superior slasher. So yeah, Kukri all the way, edge Gurkhas. Now, I already ran through the X factors, some of them, at the beginning of this video. Leaning towards the Gurkhas there. I think they get two of the weapons edges here. You know, I'll say this. I'd be all French Foreign Legion if they took long and medium range. I don't think they are, and because of that, because the Gurkhas do take one range, and in my opinion, it's going to be medium, and the fact that I think they're going to have the X factors on their side, God, go with the Gurkhas. You know, they're more disciplined. I think that their training is probably going to be better due to the fact that they've been doing it forever. Whatever X factors they're going to feature, I think the Gurkhas are going to have their number. I think they got endurance on their side due to the fact that they train in high altitude. I'm not going to undermine what the French do. It's just, high altitude in Himalayas, some of the most extreme shit in the world. I know the French Foreign Legion, they've trained in cold ass deserts and shit, but they're not accustomed. Their bodies aren't accustomed to the harsh environment compared to the Gurkhas, in my opinion, just because the Gurkhas, like I said, have been doing it forever. So yeah, I think that the more X Factor friendly warrior will take this one in this almost modern matchup. We did see the North Korea Special Operation Forces dominate a lot of the X Factors. Of course, they lost out on operational experience, but for the most part, they did take care of business in terms of the X Factors. But it wasn't enough because the U.S. Army Rangers were able to dictate the pace of the battle with their long-range weapon in the SR-25. I can maybe see the bar doing so well to the point where the French Foreign Legion win. But I just think the Gurkhas will be able to hang with it with their brand. And I think that they're going to dictate the pace of the battle with whatever Lee Enfield variation they got. And I think they're going to have some help with their own X Factors. So yeah, that's my pick. Gurkhas, I really think it's going to be close. I'm going to say like a 52-48, something like that. Alright, that about does it for me, I guess. Description below, my links are there, so check those out if you haven't already. Also, comment in the comment section below as well. Tell me what you guys think of this episode, who you're picking, and why. Also, to help do that, if you really don't feel like writing anything down, just click thumbs up if you're picking the French Foreign Legion, and thumbs down if you're picking the Gurkhas. And yeah, please subscribe if you haven't yet. So I guess that about does it for me. Thank you for all the support. Again, you guys are awesome, and take care.